This is India's most wanted man. Well, at least he was in 1947. His name was Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and he'd fought his whole life for the freedom of India. But when it finally happened, he didn't celebrate. Instead, he created another problem. His plan was to split India into two countries. At the stroke of midnight, India became independent from British rule, and then Jinnah declared that Muslims would have their own country called Pakistan. The British liked this idea. In fact, they were the ones who pushed for it. They took the pick of India's riches and then left the mess for everyone else. India and Pakistan are technically two different religions. Both believe in reincarnation and karma. Both believe in ancient texts like the Vedas and the Upanishads. But in practice, Hindus believe in a lot more stuff than Muslims do, like the existence of multiple gods and goddesses and an elaborate system of castes. They also believe in arranged marriages. Meanwhile, Muslims follow one God, Allah, just like Jews, Christians, and some others. They also tend to marry younger and have more kids. On average, Hindus outnumber Muslims by almost 3-1, and historically, both groups have battled over who has the right to rule. In recent years, things have gotten pretty violent. Since 1947, there have been 3 wars between India and Pakistan and countless smaller clashes. That's why many Indians don't like Pakistanis and vice versa. But these two countries have one thing in common. Together, they make up the second largest population in the world. As of today, they have over 350 million people combined. But before 1947, India was a single country ruled by the British Empire. Unfortunately, Britain did not treat its subjects very well. Even though Indians made up 20% of the British Empire's population, they only had 2% of the vote. To make matters worse, the British never really tried to integrate into Indian culture. They kept to themselves, mostly living in big cities and ruling from afar. This made it easier to control India, but it also led to major problems. When World War II ended, everyone was fed up with British rule, especially Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He was a lawyer by trade and had spent much of his career fighting against the British government. His plan was simple. He wanted the entire subcontinent to be ruled by Muslims. That included the countries of Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan, plus the regions of Kashmir, Punjab and Sindh. Basically, he wanted all Muslims in British India to be united under one flag. The problem was that this would mean kicking 100 million Hindus out of their ancestral lands. So Jinnah proposed making 2 separate countries. One would be secular and open to all religions. The other would be Islamic and closed to everyone else. Naturally, Indian leaders didn't take this very well. Some were willing to accept a partition, but not without massive concessions. Others thought it was a ridiculous proposal and would never accept it. Even Gandhi opposed the division. That didn't stop Jinnah, though. With the support of the British, he launched a massive propaganda campaign. Every day, newspapers warned of violence, religious cleansing, and retribution. On August 14, 1947, Jinnah would address the Constituent Assembly one last time. "You are going to have your independence tomorrow," he said. "You will have to work hard and turn your dream into reality. What will that dream be? We have already told you that it will be a democratic state, a state governed by the principles of justice and the rule of law, and ensuring adequate safeguards to all minorities." Once again, he failed to mention the refugees, the minorities, or the non-Muslims, who would be expelled from Muslim-majority areas. It would only take hours for those promises to be forgotten. At midnight on August 14, 1947, Muhammad Ali Jinnah became the Governor-General of Pakistan, while India became a self-governing dominion within the Commonwealth. Lord Mountbatten was Viceroy of India for the last time. The next day, he hosted a party in New Delhi. No alcohol was served since he and his wife were teetotalers, but there were fireworks, a military parade, and celebrations across the capital. Many attendees felt that a new era of prosperity was dawning for India. They couldn't have been more wrong. Partition Day started off peacefully enough. People danced in the streets and public buildings were decorated with flags. By lunchtime, though, the mood had changed. People began running through the streets, carrying their possessions and looking for transport. The city of Calcutta erupted into violence. Hindu mobs attacked Muslim homes and businesses. Soon, rumors spread that Muslims were doing the same. Most of these attacks were false, but that didn't stop people from panicking and fleeing their homes. The first refugee camps opened that same month. Within weeks, the violence would spread to other cities, including Delhi, where an estimated 1,000 people were killed and thousands more injured. At first, the British did nothing to help. They left the situation to Indian officials, who were completely overwhelmed. Soon, refugees began crossing the border into Pakistan. Some accounts say as many as 15 million people switched sides within just a few months. This remains a contentious issue between India and Pakistan to this day. There's no agreement on exactly how many people moved or why. India says Pakistan exaggerated the numbers for international sympathy. Pakistan says India refused to accept their citizens. Either way, it's clear that millions of people suffered during the partition, regardless of which side they chose. The journey itself was brutal. Refugees slept in the open, ate what they could find, and desperately tried to avoid bandits and gangs. But even when they reached safety, they were treated like second-class citizens. Refugees from India faced discrimination in Pakistan, while those from Pakistan were denied citizenship in India. At the same time, India inherited 16 million Muslims, and Pakistan inherited 6 million Hindus. Neither country knew what to do with them. They were caught in a strange legal limbo, and neither government was interested in giving them full rights. As a result, both countries began searching for a solution. Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru met with Pakistani leaders to discuss the situation. They agreed to allow voluntary migration. Any Muslim or Hindu could choose to move to either country, but soon rumors spread that the government would force conversions. Some reports suggested that Muslims would be converted to Hinduism and vice versa. The only way to prevent this was to leave immediately. And so mass migrations continued for weeks. Meanwhile, violence flared up yet again. When the talks between India and Pakistan fell apart, rumors swirled that both countries were planning full-scale invasions. Neither leader wanted war, so they assembled large armies to protect their borders. Then the fighting began. In the end, both countries failed to achieve their goals. They both lost valuable territory, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians were killed. Even though India won most of the battles, their victory was bittersweet. Their soldiers had performed miracles with little supplies and old weapons, but the damage had already been done. India and Pakistan's relationship would never recover. Since then, there have been dozens of violent outbreaks and 4 full-scale wars. It hasn't always been bad news, though. There have been moments of progress, like in 2004, when the two countries reopened trade. Since then, they've signed over 200 agreements. And every year, millions of people travel freely across the border. But it's not enough. Millions of people are still stuck in the middle. Today, around 2 million people live in Jammu and Kashmir. The state government has promised to resolve the conflict and grant them citizenship, but the Indian government may have other plans. Last year, they revoked Kashmir's special status, sparking widespread protests.